Good afternoon, friends and family. How are you today? Today is Sunday, and today is our home group meeting. And I just wanted a quick share that if you are not a part of Waterfall Ministries, I'm inviting you to hit me up so that I can add you to the group. It is a private group, but I can't switch it to a public group without going, like, starting from scratch, which is just dumb. But anyways, we are on week 3 of study on trauma by Tim Fletcher. The first 2 weeks was understanding trauma, and there's so much more for us to learn about trauma. But this week is part 2 on, words escape me today. Oh my gosh, what did we study? Shame. So last week was explaining where shame comes from. Don't mind my dogs. This is the fun. This is why I do my lives in the back room. So anyways, our friends are showing up for home group already. But anyways, so tonight we're doing part 2 on shame, and he goes and explains a little bit how to heal from that. It's an hour-long video. I'm going to post it on the ministry page so that it can be watched. But you can do this anywhere in the world. You don't have to be at our home group in order to watch the lives, or to be a part of learning how to heal from stress and anxiety and trauma. And it's really interesting. The very first lesson, I realized how much of my reactions and how I act comes from a trauma situation. I love my puppy dogs. I need to find my little barker thingy somewhere on the end of the counter. Here we go. This thing, if you have pets, this thing's the coolest thing on the planet. Of course, now they're not barking. See how quiet they get? It's so awesome. But anyways, I just wanted to invite you over to Waterfall Ministries. There are a bazillion videos on trauma and how to deal with it. There's parenting trauma, there's childhood trauma, there's every trauma you could possibly think of. This guy explains and walks you through. And I spent the first few videos watching to see. I couldn't tell if he was Christian. It looked like he was doing it in a church, but I wasn't for sure. But then as you watch the videos, he stops before the very end of it, takes a break, and then he comes back with biblical truth. So that was really exciting to see that part be played into the trauma. But anyways, I'm just inviting you that if you are hurting, if you don't understand why you react the way you do or say the things that you say, I just want you to know that there's healing from trauma. And when you heal from your trauma, you can begin to have right relationships. My marriage now, the only reason I feel like it's working besides God, and we love each other and we're following after the same thing, is that we've both been dealing with our trauma and we've been healing from our trauma. And so it helps us to push forward and to become better people. And then in turn, that helps us help other people become free from their traumas. I'm not anywhere near done dealing with my trauma. There is so much. There are so many layers. Like I've shared before, being adopted, that's a traumatic situation. I know the whole story now, so it makes it different, but it doesn't erase the trauma that I had in the beginning. Not knowing where I was from or why I was given up or any of those things. As a young child, that formed who I was. The other thing about trauma is the enemy is after our families, and he comes in pretty early in our lives to get us derailed so that we don't trust the Lord. And when the Lord's trying to help us, we don't trust him because we're believing the lies of our shame. We're believing the lies of our trauma. And it's a lifelong process. I don't think there's anybody walking this planet that's breathing that hasn't dealt with some sort of trauma. I still have trauma from eating lima beans. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I have lima bean trauma, and I would really like to get over it. But anywho, I just wanted to pop on here and invite you because I care about you. I care about your well-being, and I want you to roam this earth free from trauma and free from pain and free from shame. Read his word. His word says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I know what I wanted to share now. I got in here for a specific reason. I was sitting in church this morning, and I thought to myself, this is for my good. Count it all joy. Count all the trauma joy. Count all the stress joy. Count all the anxiety joy. And I wanted to share just a quick short story. I didn't want to be on here long because people are starting to come for home group. But yesterday, I drive the back roads because Muskegon, US 31 is always treacherous. There's always something going on. There's always an accident. And I felt like the Holy Spirit said, don't take the highway. But I did it anyways because my son was supposed to come over and I wanted to get my grocery shopping done. And I was being selfish. I wanted to go to Burlington Coat Factory because I hadn't been there in a while since the Lord healed me from my shopping addiction, which I hate that. But I wanted to go out there. And so I was keeping up with traffic, which means I probably didn't drive the speed limit. I went a little faster in some areas, but I came out of Burlington and I don't know why I looked at my passenger side tire, but I just happened to, and there's this huge bulge. It was at the bottom when I looked at it. It's the size of like a softball, baseball, somewhere in there. And I immediately was filled with anxiety. I'm like, well, how am I going to get home? How is this going to work out? But I didn't have that fear that I did something to the car. I did remember hitting a pothole a few weeks ago, but I didn't think it had done any damage. So I Marco Polo'd my husband and my friends. I said, please pray. I still have to go grocery shop, and I haven't done any of that. So I went to Meijer, I went to Aldi's, and then I had to stop at Walmart. So 3 different stores. I took the back roads the whole way. I drove the speed limit, if not less. And I'm just praying. I'm like, Lord, just get me home. Well, we have a guy here in Muskegon, and if you guys who live here in Muskegon haven't heard of him, his name is Mike, and he runs Tread Monkey, and it's a come-to-you tire thing. He buys your tires for you and puts them on and takes care of everything. And as I was driving home, I have to drive by his shop. It's Saturday afternoon at 4:30, okay? And he's a mobile unit, like he's not normally at his building. Guess who was at his building? Yep. Tread Monkey Mike. So I was able to chat with him for a second, and he goes, yep, I'll get the tires ordered, because we're just going to order 2 and replace the front tires. They're brand new tires. Because I asked him, I said, are they under warranty? He goes, if you hit a pothole, probably not. So long story short, that's all taken care of. He's going to come over tomorrow to our house, but I can't drive my car at the moment, which I'm glad I asked him and I sent him pictures, because the tire is now separating from the rim, which you shouldn't be driving with that. So how I got where I went was the Holy Spirit saving me, even though I made a wrong decision. But the icing on the cake is I came in and have a conversation with my husband. Usually when things go wrong with the car, it's my fault. Not in my current marriage, but my past marriages and my family growing up. It didn't matter who drove the car. I always got blamed. I always did something wrong. And so I believed that lie. Well, this time that didn't bother me so much. And then my husband's like, when did you hit the pothole? And I said, I don't know, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And it was one of those where you hit it and you like duck because you think that you got shot or something. It was that harsh. He says, well, I hit a pothole about a week ago on Broadway. And so in our confessions to one another, we don't know who did the damage to the car. And it doesn't matter. Because the Lord has already gone before us. He's already taken care of it. I mean, for him to point out that I needed to look at my tire coming out of the store, that's the Lord's protection. And so in all of that, to zip this up into trauma, is yesterday was not a traumatic experience for me. Yes, I was nervous to drive home. Anybody in their right mind would be nervous to drive home with a tire that's bulging. But I had peace. I had the peace that the Lord had me. I didn't really have that far to go. I wasn't scared of my husband yelling at me when I got home. I wasn't worried that where are we going to get the money to do this? God has gone before us. He has made a way. So when dealing with trauma, you've got to keep it in your forefront of your thinking process, above all the anxiety, above all the stress, above all the what ifs, the oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How are these people going to react? You've got to remember that God went before you and made a way, and it's all going to be okay. So anyways, long story. Let me wrap it up. If you would like to be a part of Waterfall Ministries, you can look it up, and I think you can request to join, but I'm not positive because it's not like it's not a secret group, but it's a private group. But that or inbox me or I don't know, whatever. Just get a hold of me and I can add you to it. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. We're buckling up because the very first 5 minutes of this video tonight, he says, buckle up. So, and I forgot to warn my friends to buckle up. But we're going to have some good food, some good fellowship, and Lord willing, we're going to have some really good healing tonight. So, have a good night.